All right, welcome. Today, we're diving into this incredible intersection of faith and science. We're going to look at verses from the Quran, a book that's over 1,400 years old, that talk about the cosmos, and then see how they stack up against modern cosmology. It's going to be fascinating.
And that leads us right to the central question of our whole discussion. And let's be real, it's a pretty provocative one. Could a book from 1,400 years ago actually describe something like the Big Bang? An event that science only figured out in the last century? It's a wild thought, right?
Okay, so let's jump right in. Our first big topic, the very beginning of, well, everything. We're going to look at a specific verse in the Quran that has sparked some really intense debate over the years. So first, let's just do a quick science refresher so we're all on the same page. When we talk about the Big Bang Theory, which really came together in the 20th century, it's not some explosion in space. It's the explosion of space itself. The idea is that everything, and I mean everything, matter, energy, time, it all burst forth from this single, unbelievably hot and dense point. Okay, now check this out. Here's a verse from the Quran from way back over 1,400 years ago. It says that the heavens and the earth were once a single joined entity. The specific Arabic word they use is rajk, which kind of means like a sewn up or closed up mass. And then the verse says this single mass was split apart. So as you can imagine, a verse like that, it's gotten people talking for centuries. And when you look into it, you see two main ways people have interpreted it. And this is where you really see the conversation between this ancient text and our constantly changing knowledge of the universe. Right, so on one side, you have the modern scientific interpretation. People look at that verse and say, wow, that sounds a lot like the Big Bang singularity, one single mass that gets split apart. But then you have the classical interpretation from early scholars. Now, remember, they didn't have telescopes or particle accelerators. They saw it as this beautiful metaphor. For them, a closed heaven was one that wasn't raining, and a closed earth was dry and couldn't grow anything. So God opened them up by sending rain and letting plants grow. Two very different ways of seeing the same words. Okay, so let's move on to our next big idea, which kind of builds on this. We're shifting from the moment of creation to how the universe is behaving right now. And this next part is about an idea that totally turned astronomy on its head in the 20th century. And this timeline really puts things into perspective. I mean, for pretty much all of human history, the smartest people on the planet thought the universe was static, fixed, unchanging. It wasn't until the 1920s, first with Alexander Friedman's math and then with Edwin Hubble's actual observations, that we got proof that no, the universe is actually expanding. It's getting bigger all the time. So, with that in mind, people who see this connection between the Quran and science point to this specific verse. And get this, it was revealed almost 1,400 years before Hubble even existed. It says that God builds the universe and is steadily expanding it. For proponents of this view, that's not a metaphor. They see it as a straight-up statement of scientific fact, way ahead of its time. All right, now we're getting into what is maybe the most complex and debated cosmological idea in the whole Quran, the seven heavens. It pops up more than once, and believe me, people have been trying to figure out exactly what it means for a very, very long time. So the obvious question is, what are the seven heavens? And yeah, that sounds like a simple question, but the answer is not simple at all. There's no one single agreed-upon answer. Instead, what you find is this whole spectrum of ideas, from the totally physical to the purely spiritual. Yeah, the interpretations are all over the map. Some people think it means literal physical layers of the universe, like an onion. Others believe they're spiritual realms, completely separate from our reality. Then you have those who say the number 7 isn't literal at all. It's just a symbol for completeness or just a whole lot of something. And some even see it as the different stages of spiritual growth. One of the most famous interpretations, though, comes from the story of the Prophet Muhammad's night journey. The tradition says he ascended through these 7 heavens, and each one was a unique spiritual place where he met a different prophet. He meets Adam in the first heaven, then works his way up, meeting others like Moses, until he reaches Abraham in the 7th. It's seen as this incredible spiritual journey and ascent towards God. But then you have a completely different, more modern take. Some people try to map the 7 heavens onto what we know about the cosmos today. In this view, the layers are physical. You start with the planets and our solar system as one layer, then the gas giants, then you move out to the Kuiper Belt, then the whole Milky Way galaxy, our local cluster of galaxies, and so on, all the way out to the most distant stuff we can see. So, okay, after looking at all this, what's the takeaway? The big picture here isn't a simple yes or no.
What it really shows is this fascinating, ongoing conversation. You have this ancient text on one side, human interpretation in the middle, and our ever-expanding scientific knowledge on the other side, all interacting. And that brings up a really crucial point, a word of caution that many scholars bring up. The argument goes like this: you have to be careful about tying a timeless, sacred text to scientific theories. Why? Because science is always changing. What seems like a perfect match today might be completely disproven tomorrow, and then where does that leave your interpretation? And that really leaves us with one final big question to think about. As our own knowledge of the cosmos just keeps growing, as we learn more and more, does that put us in conflict with these ancient texts? Or, and this is the interesting part, does it actually open up new ways of understanding them? Does it let us see layers of meaning and wonder that people centuries ago just couldn't have seen? That's the real question at the heart of the